by Giles. My ex never finishes his sentences. He'll start off with, "Did you see?" and then stop. When we first met, I thought it was charming. I'd prompt him, "Did I see what?" Silence. After we were married, less charmed, I'd jump in with my own offerings. "Did I see the full moon last night? Did I see the red dog? Did I see the fat man in drag?" I was never right. My ex would listen, correct me, and disappear. He could literally disappear, an act that should have made us money. "I think I'll go," he'd say, and I'd chip in with, "To the store?" only to hear him say, "To India." One minute he'd be standing next to me, and the next minute he'd be in a cab heading out to some seaport, or in a bed, asleep, or in the garden watering the roses he claimed I never took care of. At the end, in the lawyer's office, when I admitted I never knew where he went, what he did, or whom he did it with, he shook his head sadly and said that that was because I could not read his mind. "She's so," he said to the lawyer. "Exhausted?" the lawyer and I said together. "Impatient," he said. It was true, and why not? Years had rushed by, and I still didn't know him. In fact, that was why he often said to me, "You'll never know how much I love you," he'd say, and then not unkindly, he'd laugh. After the divorce, there were sightings. A friend saw him in an art museum, trying on silk scarves. My sister saw him pass around the bridge in a silver Jaguar. A neighbor heard him talking Farsi with an Iranian rug dealer. We decided he either worked for the CIA or the FBI or the DA or all three of them. Just last week, 5 years after our divorce, I bumped into him to a big bookstore. He was standing in a corner reading the obituaries in the New York Times out loud to himself. He was dressed in surfer shorts and a hoodie. He had a grown mustache and had a pair of mirrored sunglasses. "Hi," I said. He looked up unsurprised. "Oh, hi," he answered. "How are..." "I'm fine." "The roses," he said. I took a deep breath. He looked thin and raggedy. It occurred to me he might be homeless. "I'm having the Witherspoons over for lunch on Sunday," I said. "Our old neighbors. Would you like to come?" "Do they still have their 2 poodles?" "Yes," I said. "Timing son-in-law living with them." "Lunch is at noon," I said, and I never slept with their son-in-law, if that's what you're thinking. "How do you know what you're thinking? Whether he's still living with them or not?" "Noon," I repeated. I was shaking when I left. Sunday came, and of course no ex. The Witherspoons and I had barbecue and gin and tonics, and had just settled into the living room to watch the US Open when the poodle started barking, and the son-in-law said, "There's a man in our backyard." I shrugged his hand off my thigh and stood up. My ex was in the garden watering the roses. It was as if no time had passed. I went out to him. "Did you see?" he said. "No," I said. "I didn't. Hand me that hose, please." He handed me the hose, and I aimed the nozzle straight at him. The blast was so strong it knocked him butt down, and his fake mustache flew off. For a second, I exulted. Then, because I'm an idiot, I dropped the hose and went to him. But he tripped me, and I fell down hard beside him as the water spiraled fast and cold over us. He wrapped his arms around me and rocked us back and forth on the grass, laughing. And I felt his old male strength and smelled his sour grape apple smell for a second. I was almost happy again. By the time I pushed him off and shook myself and stood, of course, nothing was left but a trail of damp footsteps in the grass, a thread from his hoodie snagged on the gate, tire marks on the curb. I ran out to the street as his bike rounded the corner, took my shoe off, threw it at him, and missed. The last thing I heard was his voice, faint on the wind. "Don't worry, dear, it's not..." "Funny?" I shouted. "Over," he said, and then disappeared.